Hello, my name is Doug Pedlar, President-elect of the London and St. Thomas Association of Realtors, and I'd like to speak to you about an issue that is a real concern to us at LSTAR. I'm talking about the negative impact that the sudden proliferation of industrial wind turbines across Ontario is having and will have on the quality of life in our communities. These impacts include rising energy costs, making people ill, eroding property rights, affecting the behavior of animals and birds, and lowering, perhaps significantly, property values. Let me give you a little background. In 2009, the Ontario government passed the Green Energy Act, and in the expectation that the legislation would enable the province to produce more clean, renewable energy and create a whole host of green jobs. To expedite the rollout, the province streamlined approvals for renewable energy projects. That meant that municipal governments had no say in where these projects went up. They were not subject to ordinary zoning regulations or to local planning processes. To spur the private sector investment, the government introduced Ontario's FIT program that guaranteed highest prices for this new green energy, like solar panels and industrial wind turbines. Naturally, wind companies and farmers jumped on this bandwagon, so much that by November 2011, the government had received 53,000 applications for wind turbines and/or solar panels. Just recently, the government reviewed the FIT and the microfit programs and reduced the price for new contracts. That's good, but a little like closing the barn door after 53,000 horses had already bolted. Another wrinkle was introduced in 2010 when the Samsung deal was signed. This secret sole source deal was very controversial with Cabinet. Samsung would invest $7 billion, creating an alleged 16,000 new jobs with plants in Windsor, Tillsonburg, and Toronto, and produce 2,500 megawatts. It would guarantee Samsung an additional 1 cent for wind and 3 cents per kilowatt hour for solar. And despite the government renegotiating this deal for $300 million less in 2011, the deal's implementation would mean a hike in hydro rates as much as 7%, an annual cost to taxpayers of $1.11 billion. What's happening now with industrial wind turbines is akin to what happened to the Yukon during the gold rush, with leases being signed up as fast as the wind companies can. There are 13 projects already up and running, and 7 more will come on stream in 2013. So what's the problem? First, there's concern that people are getting ill living too close to these massive wind turbines because of noise, vibrations, pressure waves, infrasound, ground currents, and electromagnetic waves. Greater setbacks than 550 meters are required. Secondly, wind turbines may have a negative impact on migratory birds, scaring them away from their migration routes. We are losing habitat by putting industrial wind turbines along coastal areas, around our wetlands and our lakes. Third, there are social repercussions. We already have neighbors suing neighbors over wind turbines on the grounds that either they can no longer enjoy their view or, and this is a concern to realtors, that the introduction of wind turbines on adjacent land has lowered their property values. The jury is not in. We cannot say for certain why wind turbines make people sick, how they will affect waterfowl, and if property values will be lowered over the long term. But we also don't know because we haven't taken the time to adequately research the subject, because the government leapt first and avoided asking questions later, which means we have to do that. We are not alone. The Ontario Federation of Agriculture has issued a statement regarding industrial wind turbines, saying the situation has seriously polarized our rural communities, putting neighbors against neighbors over concerns with health impacts and quality of life issues. The Ontario Society of Professional Engineers conducted an independent review of wind generation and its impact on the province's electrical grid. That review calls into some question the wisdom of relying too much on wind generation, a conclusion supported by the experience of Europe, where wind farms have long been a familiar sight. Finally, the Auditor General's report, issued in December of 2011. That report pointed to an increase of 43% in hydro rates by 2014, resulting from measures put in place by the Green Energy Act. It also criticized other aspects of this initiative, including the FIT contracts and the Samsung deal. Realtors adhere to quality of life philosophy. We are committed to ensuring the economic vitality of our communities, preserving our environment, bettering the places where we live and work, and protecting property rights. Wind turbines are springing up all over Ontario, and there are more and more to come. Their number and placement impacts consumers in their pocketbooks, in their personal well-being, and in the value and enjoyment of their property. And these are happening now, not in some distant future. That's why Ontario Realtors are acting now by adding our voices to the mounting resistance against reckless proliferation and not waiting until the damage is irreversible. The Ontario Real Estate Association has written to the Minister of Environment and the Minister of Energy, asking that the government be mindful of our concerns when setting policy for wind turbines. It has also urged the government to work more closely with municipalities. The public needs to be better engaged when it comes to the location of wind turbines and solar power facilities in their communities. OREA is also looking into doing some research on what impact wind turbines might have on property values and educating realtors through its OREA College on wind turbine related issues. Realtors know that we need to find new ways of generating more green, renewable energy. However, this is Ontario, Canada in the 21st century, not the wild, wild west. We need to produce green energy right for the right price, with the right guidelines, and with a proper assessment of health and environmental impacts. And we need to allow local municipalities a voice in the matter. Only then will the quality of life in our communities be truly served. Thank you.